Hi everyone, Gemma Fisher here from Daybreak Dogs in North Somerset. Apologies, I have been rushing around the house trying to find somewhere where the Wi-Fi will apparently let me go live. And given that earlier on when I posted that video letting you know that I was going to be coming on now, I tried to log on in exactly the same place and do it. Yeah, I don't know. Technology. Anyway, so Friday's Fisher Fix is all about what do we do with dogs that jump up? Because let's face it, it's embarrassing. Because dogs tend to do it, don't they? When they're really muddy, when they've just come out of a icky, wet puddle, or they've just been swimming in some bog or other. They never do it when they're beautifully clean. So the first thing that we want to think about is, well, first off, why are they doing it? And it can actually be for more than just the obvious, well, they're really excited and they love people reason. So I have a mixture of collie dogs, in so much as some of them are really, really keen on people, and some of them, like if I'm in the environment, they kind of they don't really notice other people. But I have lots of Labrador friends, and my Labrador friends are very social butterflies, and you know, they are inclined to come jumping up and say hi and all the rest of it. So first off, we've got two different things going on. One is when we have dogs that are very social, they need some sort of social contact. So just saying, for example, the normal typical advice is turn your back on the dog and ignore them. Well, here's the thing. This is what this looks like. I've come on to do a live video with you, and you're trying to get my attention, and I turn my back on you. Annoying, isn't it? So what you'll probably find is that if you've tried that advice already, that what happens is that the dogs tend to get more frantic and more worked up when you turn your back on them, because in actual fact what they were trying to do was connect and say hi, and what ended up happening was you turned your back and you ignored them, so they had to work harder in order to get your attention. So first off, if you do have a dog that is jumping up at you because they love you and you know they are really fond of you, just make sure that you make an effort to do that connection, because otherwise it's just going to get more and more frantic if you turn your back on them. So second off, so what am I going to do instead? So I'm not going to turn my back, but obviously I don't want to be knocked flying when my dog is jumping up at me. And what I want you to think about is, well, okay, so how do I bring my dog's arousal level down slightly? And a really good way to do this is with food. So if you were to think about the times when it's likely to happen. So when you come through the front door, when you get home from work, that sort of a thing. Have a little pot of just boring kibble or you know, whatever your dog particularly likes. Have that ready so that actually when you come to greet your dog, you've got something where you can actually ask them to do something different. So it might be that you come through the door and it's, hey, hi, good to see you, sit, good, and then we'll get lots of reward in that way. So giving the dog an alternative is a really, really good way of doing it, but it should involve some sort of connection, because the reason your dog is jumping up at you is because it's looking for connection. So to give you an example, if I've been out teaching all evening, then one of the things that my dogs like to do is they like to check in with me, that, you know, I smell funny because I've been with lots of other dogs. I've been cheating on them with lots of other dogs. And so I come through the door and they just are looking for just a moment of connection. So, you know, I personally don't mind jumping up when it's just coming up gently on me and we, you know, maybe touch noses and then we say hi and then off they go. The jumping up that most of you, I think, are concerned with and experiencing is when dogs kind of give you a body blow, when they really like aim to, it's not that they aim to hurt you as such, but they just, it's not a controlled hello. It's a, oh my God, thank goodness you're back. And they're slamming into you. So that's not fun for anybody. I get that. So, so tip number one is have something around those areas where you know your dog is going to get excited and try and do those things, and have something ready for them so you can ask them to do something differently and you can reward them quietly. So let them know that yes, you want to reconnect with them, but here's how you'd like to do it, rather than getting all overexcited. So the second scenario is you have visitors. Now, the dogs that I teach really struggle with this one, because when Auntie Gemma turns up at their doorstep, they get pretty excited and they do want to kind of, you know, say hi and make a big fuss of me. So first thing is, is it's okay to say hi, provided the dog is in a calmer space. So what I would tend to do with that sort of a dog, if they were really worked up and excited, is I would work separately. So don't start teaching this when you have somebody on your doorstep, because it's not going to work then. But what I want you to do is I want you to practice teaching your dog just to be settled, just to do nothing. So I've got, because we're in my bedroom, so I don't know if you can see, but this is my, how old are you now, Al? Over 10-year-old border collie. She's just hanging out on her bed. That's all. She's not doing anything. And she's just relaxed and she's just chilled. The more your dog can practice that, the easier it is for them to slip into that when things get exciting, okay? So work on that as a separate exercise, but that's what you're aiming to do, that when the visitor turns up, that actually you ask your dog, can they go onto their bed? Can they go onto a mat by the front door? Can they settle? And basically, you're not going to let them say hi to that visitor until they've calmed down a little bit. Because if you let them say hi when the person has first come through the door, yeah, do you know what? They're probably going to jump up. And likely they're going to do that body slamming thing rather than a nice gentle hello. So see if you can bring their arousal and excitement levels down a little bit before you let them say hi. Had a really good question in the comments from my okay, I think we're back. Sorry, we had a pause. There we go. I'm having all sorts of technological issues this morning, guys. I don't understand it. You know, I'm at home, so I have a wireless connection. It should be fine. Anyway, sorry. So we were going on to the second scenario, which is what to do with visitors, or what to do with your dog when visitors arrive. And one of the questions, which I thought was a really, really good one, is how do I get my visitors to behave themselves? So how do I avoid them winding the dog up and getting them overexcited? It's harder. It's harder with people. Dog training I'm good at. People training not so much. But what I would put to the people that you have visiting is, well, it's a couple of things. One, set up some visitors. Okay, so when I arrive at people's houses and they are trying to set in place some really good manners from their dog, one of the things I'm going to do to them, I'm going to say to them, they're like, they want to let me in the door because I've arrived and all the rest of it. But I'll say to them, many times as you need to shut the door in my face, I'm good with that. All right, if you need to train your dog, happy to help. All right, that's what I do. That's what I'm aiming to do with my dogs all of the time. So set yourself up some stooges. So work on your dog settling first off. Second off, you're going to get some stooge people in to come and practice, and they're really well behaved people. They're going to do as they're told and do as you ask in order to help you train your dog. And then what should happen is, by the time you get to that visitor which winds your dog up or you know, gets them really overexcited, you know what, the dog's going to have better skills to be able to cope with that. And ideally that they're at a point that even when they're being wound up like that, this is what we get with our agility dogs all of the time, they still need to be able to control themselves around the agility course, is that when that person is winding them up, you just ask them to go on their bed. And so they learn to ignore the overexcited visitor. Yeah, much easier to deal with overexcited dogs than overexcited visitors, I'll be honest. Right then, the third question about jumping up came about from a lady with a Labrador. And as I said at the beginning, Labradors are a very social breed. They come from sort of the gun dog end of the spectrum, and they are, you know, they're the social butterflies of the dog world. So they are actively looking for that connection. They find that really, really reinforcing. So the question was, I'm out and about walking with my dog. If I'm really close to them and I can say no in a stern voice, I assume it was a stern voice. I'm making that up. She didn't say that. But she did say, you know, that she could tell the dog no. That what do I do when they're a bit further away from me and I'm not there to be able to say it, and they're jumping up at people out on a walk? Well, first off, one of the things that I get my puppies to do very, very early on, and this is something that they do throughout their entire life, is I get them to check in with me when we see somebody coming up the path. Because from a socialisation perspective, socialisation's gone a bit, like, it's a bit of a buzzword, it's gone a bit mad. And socialisation seems to mean you want your puppy to interact with everybody that they see. And yes, they do need to get lots of interactions in during that socialisation period. But one of the things that I want to make sure is that that's always involves me in some way, and that there's a sort of a permission-based thing going on. Because you know what, that person coming up the path with maybe the really big dog that maybe is foaming at the mouth a little bit, it's got a muzzle on it, the owner looks really tense, the lead is really tight. Do I want my dog rushing up to that dog? No. And I don't want that for two reasons. I don't want to upset that dog that's on the lead further, because it's clearly not happy about other dogs. So I don't want to, you know, upset or make that dog more stressed. So that's one of my motivations. But the second motivation is, if my dog goes and gets told off by another dog or another person for jumping up or, you know, being a bit rude in somebody's face, and I say dog or people, what happens is that creates anxiety in my dog. And then what happens is, when my dog sees a person or a dog or, you know, whatever, when we're out and about, their immediate response is, oh my goodness, something stressful happened last time. That makes them a bit more anxious. If you have a gun dog breed, it tends to make them more people-pleasy. So they come across as, oh, you're going to love me. Honestly, I'm the nicest thing in the world. And they'll throw themselves on their back and they'll just make a big display. And it's because they're feeling a bit anxious about the situation. So being told off by a person or another dog is never a good thing. So when my dogs see somebody up the path, the thing I'm looking for them to do is to just turn and make eye contact with me. So we register that we've seen somebody coming, and at that point I have a choice. If I think that it's appropriate that they can go and say hi, and the other owner seems happy for to say hello, then I can tell them that yes, they can go and say hi. Or second of all, I can recall the dog to me. Now, I already know that some of you are thinking, well, you know what, I'm not going to be able to recall my dog off a person. This is where you're going to take them out. They're going to be in one of the lovely dog games harnesses that we love, and one of the Tug Enough long lines, and you're going to make sure that you can get hold of your dog if you need to, because I do believe dogs need that off-lead time, but obviously it needs to be under control. So having something where you can grab hold of dog if necessary is important. But what you're going to do is, they can't be jumping up at people out on a walk if they are able to be recalled to you. So what you're going to do is, you're going to work on that recall in order that the dog understands, just because I see that person or just because I see that other dog does not mean that I can go rushing up to them. And this is so much better from everybody's perspective. It's not an easy thing to do, so please don't take it as that. I'm not saying that this is a really easy, yeah, just call your dog, no problem. Because yes, I do get it, you know, it's not an easy thing to teach. But that's the thing. That's the reason why I would have the management in place with the harness and with the long line, so that I can control my dog if I need to. But ultimately, that's the solution, guys. Dogs cannot be jumping up at people if they come back when they're called. So that's the thing I want to be aiming for. And I'm guessing that out of the questions, probably we're going to get some questions about recall at some point, and I will definitely be covering that in a different Friday Fisher Fix. So I'm just having a quick look to see if there's any comments as we go. No, it doesn't look like we've got any questions or bits and pieces, so that's fine. Any questions, guys? I think, you know, she says confidently, I think they'll pop up in the video to the side. So if any of the things that I've mentioned as I've gone through don't make sense, or they need a bit more clarification, then do just let me know in the comments, and I'll look to address those either as we go or at the end. So, all right, so that's our 3 scenarios of jumping up. Jumping up at you when you get down from, you know, coming down in the morning, when you get home from work. That's one of the scenarios. Second scenario we've looked at is, what do I do about my dog jumping up at visitors? And then the third scenario, I'm out and about, what do I do with that? So hopefully I've given you some ideas to be able to work on. And as I say, you just keep posting these questions. I'm loving answering them, and I hope you're finding that this is helpful. If you'd like to keep in touch with me a little bit more, so that I can keep you posted when I'm doing a Friday Fisher Fix and send you articles from my blog, then just go to the sign up button, which is at the top of the Facebook page, and just click on that, and it'll take you through to a sign up form where you can just be kept informed. It'd be nice to keep in touch. So I think that's all. I think we're all done, aren't we, Elle? She's like, yeah, I've gone off to sleep. Oh, she's not interested. So I'm going to say, enjoy the weekend, enjoy your dogs, and I look forward to seeing you next Friday for another Friday Fisher Fix. Take care. Bye.